Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Olgama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Don't let COVID-19 spoil the fun for you or your family, so get a vaccine or booster. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, free for everyone, and are now available for anyone over the age of 5. Booster shots are also recommended for everyone 12 and older if it's been more than 5 months since your previous vaccination. To get more tips, schedule your vaccine, or get tested, visit ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine. That's ramseycounty.us/COVID vaccine.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 52, Thursday sunny with a high near 76, and Friday sunny with a high around 77. Make sure you're ready to keep your home cool before those inevitable hot, humid summer days with Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Right now with Standard, you can get instant savings of $850 on an AC unit or ductless system with payments as low as $65 per month. Learn more at standardheating.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hitting cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagita, all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Alliant Energy, powering beyond.
Ooh, that's a good tagline.
It is.
Yeah. So we got a couple guests today. We got Bob Blake coming in talking about the solar bear, with the solar news.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a bear. He's a big guy. And then we also have, it's going to be a really interesting interview, Wania Locke, who's going to talk about tribal data sovereignty. And Wendy, that's where, these big companies come out and go, hey, let's do videos and books on your language, but then turn around and try and sell it back to them. And they own it. How do they own another language? How do they own a Indigenous language? It's crazy. So we're going to have
great. That's really interesting. I can't wait to hear from her.
Yeah, and I know you can't wait to hear from Ogama with the news, so let's get with her right away here. And welcome, Ogama.
Hi, Buju Anin, everybody. I'm Ogama Ganuakwe. I am a member of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I have news and information for you here on Native Roots Radio tonight. As always, I like to talk about Mother Earth and the events that are coming up to help you stop pipelines and to get involved to take care of our Mother Earth. Upcoming events include the Shell River Reunion, which is going to be at the Shell City Campground here in Minnesota. Those are going to actually happen 3 times throughout the summer of 2022. The first one is June 17th through 19th. Again, that's at the Shell City Campground in Huntersville State Forest near Monaga, Minnesota. It is formed by the Shell River Alliance, set together to protect the sacred water of the Shell and to join together for all to build community through education, advocacy, land trust and conservation work, and of course, building community. Friends, allies, water protectors are all invited for these 3 weekends. It is going to be really awesome. You can get your tickets, at actionnetwork.org/events/Shell River Reunion 1. The first event is going to have an open mic night, and then the second event in July will have Corey Medina, and the third event in August will have Annie Humphreys. So that's going to be really, really exciting. They're also going to have Honor the Earth's sister organization, the Akin Goat Farm, the Hemp Farm, and the Solar Thermal Manufacturing Facility joining people for those events. So that's going to be really, really exciting. Robert, we haven't talked about too much about Line 5, but I want to touch base on an event that's coming up here for Line 5. Communities United by Water is Saturday, June 25th, 2022, and that's at Bayview City Park in Ashland, Wisconsin. And I believe it's also going by the Shigwamagun Bay celebration online if you're looking for it. That is going to be a weekend long event beginning Friday, June 24th, running into Saturday with vendors, ceremonies, music, speakers. It's going to be a really, really great event. And then it's also going to conclude on Sunday with more song, including the Neebe Singers, keynotes by Mike Wiggins, who's the chairman of the Bad River tribe in northern Wisconsin, who is fighting Line 5 head on in northern Wisconsin and leading into Michigan. And that is going to be really powerful. He's a really great speaker as well. So again, that's June 25th in Bayview City Park in Ashland, Wisconsin, but it is a weekend long event running June 24th through June 26th. And you can find out more information about that event under wisconsinline5.com, or you can go to communitiesunitedbywater.org. So those are the 2 websites you can find that information on. Robert, I got this really I want to call it awesome. It's a pretty awesome press release I got in today. And this press release says that Enbridge has admitted that Line 5 has very little effect on the gasoline prices. The Canadian pipeline company Enbridge has been telling consumers and policymakers that gasoline prices will rise and that it would cause such a huge problem for the state of Michigan. But now one of the company's experts filed a court document that says gasoline prices will rise less than a penny in Michigan if the Line 5 oil pipeline shuts down. He said directly, my estimate of the increase in Wisconsin transportation fuel prices is the same as that for Michigan gasoline prices, i.e. approximately 0.5 cents per gallon. And that was from Neil K. Ernest, who's an independent energy industry consultant hired by Enbridge. Meanwhile, Enbridge operates the Line 5, which has endangered the Straits of Mackinac for more than 69 years. And what they want to do is continue to endanger it by replacing a tunnel underneath the Straits of Mackinac to continue to run their toxic crude oil. So this is just confirmation basically about the millions of dollars that Enbridge has spent pushing really misleading advertisements and public statements. Enbridge's Line 5 said that gasoline prices in the state of Wisconsin and Michigan would skyrocket. And now Enbridge's own word in court is that it is not the case. So that is just, it's awesome to hear, but also incredibly frustrating. To hear that they know what they're doing is wrong. And the Bad River tribe of Lake Superior Chippewa Indians has been fighting this for a long time and is currently in the process of suing the company to remove Line 5 from its lands, which they've been asking for, if I'm not mistaken, for I think more than 10 years now. So that's definitely something we want to put up prayers for our relatives over in Wisconsin for that. The other thing I want to touch base on just a little bit too here is that water protectors all over in Minnesota are still facing charges. So you can figure out how to flood the courts, how to help water protectors that are facing charges throughout Minnesota. You can support them by going to tinyurl.com/flood the courts. There is a rally tomorrow, Thursday at 12 p.m. to support Alan Richardson, who is an ally with Honor the Earth, who faced, I believe he was arrested at least twice during the battle against Line 3 coming through in Minnesota. So if you want to turn out to support Alan Richardson, that would be wonderful. And Robert, we have a special guest today, right?
Yeah, Wendy. No, Wendy's back in studio. We're all excited about that. But yeah, we have Wani Locke coming on and talking about tribal data sovereignty. So
Yeah.
really excited for that conversation. And it's interesting, we joke around about this, but I saw a couple videos not only on the Facebook feed but on TikTok about this subject. So it'll be interesting to hear what she has to say.
Right. And if I have just a minute, I'll kind of preface it for everybody. So basically, what happened is Ray Taken Alive from the Standing Rock Standing Rock Sioux Tribal Council is asking banishment of a nonprofit organization called the Lakota Language Consortium. So the Lakota Language Consortium had promised to preserve the tribe's language and spent years gathering recordings of elders. Meanwhile, when Taken Alive asked for copies, he was shocked to learn that the consortium, which is run by a non-native man, copyrighted the language materials, which were based on generations of Lakota tradition. And the traditional knowledge gathered from the tribe was now being sold back to the tribe in the form of textbooks, which is just outrageous to me. And I'm sure a lot of other people. Ray Taken Alive is taken to TikTok and social media to talk about this. And on May 3rd, the tribal council voted nearly unanimously to banish this organization, the Lakota Language Consortium. So Wani Locke is going to be on talking about this issue with us today.
Yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of people talking about it. And I know our friend Barry was talking about it. And so let's break the code and talk about this and get it out. And all our natives and our allies can hear what the heck's going on with this organization that's basically stealing our language and their language. So, hey, we'll be right back after this short break, Wendy.
Stay with us. J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Bijou, I am Oshawashko Gijig. I'm from Red Lake Nation, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Thank you, Wendy. Hey, we got a guest on, and her name is Wania Locke, and she's Lakota Dakota. But we're gonna talk about tribal data sovereignty, and I really appreciate you stopping in with us. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Hello, good evening. My name is Wania Locke. I currently reside on the Standing Rock Reservation, but I'm also Otnandine from Copper River Valley. And my great-great-grandfather is from White Earth. So I'm also Anishinaabe. First and foremost, I like to be transparent. I want the listeners to understand at one point in time in my life, I was a huge supporter of Lakota Language Consortium. I truly believe that Indigenous people need to reclaim their language back, because that's the foundation of all of our culture, our etiquette, and conduct. And that's one of the first steps that we can take for decolonization, because when we speak in English, we think with European concepts. And when we speak our own historical tongue, our mother tongue, then we start thinking in their thought process. And I've always been a huge advocate of language revitalization. Lakota revitalization has been 12 years of my life. So at one point in time, I was a huge supporter of Lakota Language Consortium. And then it's like a gradual things, like I start noticing like small things at first and really big things. The concept of LLC is really a good idea. Like, we need people to have access to these resources, like creating dictionaries and curriculum and having all these resources for our language to be revitalized. Because like when you go to France, you know, everything is in French. That's a true form of sovereignty right there. When you go to Sweden, everything is in Sweden. Even YouTube is done in Sweden. That's a true form of sovereignty. And we need to get on that level, not just Lakota language, but all languages need to get on that level and understanding. To have true sovereignty, we need to have language revitalization up in the forefront. And majority of our languages nationwide are on the extinction list. And because of the COVID pandemic, we're losing fluent speakers at a faster rate than normal. And that's what sparked my attention. My cousin Ray Takenaway was actually the whistleblower. His grandmother passed away and originally asked for recordings and any of the work that his grandmother had to be on display at her funeral, to show her life's work. And through that process discovered that LLC had a copyright on all of the stuff that was willingly given by his grandmother. And
I want you to say that again, because I don't. The gravity of that statement is unbelievable. Could you just say that one more time for our listeners?
Yeah. So he wanted to really display his lifetime, the lifetime work of his grandmother, and through that process, he discovered there was copyrights that were on all of the material by LLC. Wow. And anyone that understands what copyrights are about, they would have to get permission every single time from this third-party entity to share a recording, to create curriculum out of her stories that she willingly and lovingly gave.
Wow.
And that's the part that really scares me as someone who is in Lakota language revitalization is we shouldn't have to ask for permission to use our data. This is our data. And majority of the time, people don't know what data is, and data is so many things. So data comes in the form of information. It can pass down orally. It could be written. It could be done on winter counts symbolically. Mm-hmm. But data comes in many different forms, and it's a lot of information. And there's so many things that are used. Like you see companies being held accountable. I'm not going to say which social media platform, but in 2019 and in 2020, we saw a famous social media platform get taken to Congress, and he was questioned by Congress. What are you doing with this data? Because people were willingly giving this information, and that rightfully so. They need to know what's going to be done with this information that was willingly given on this social media platform. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry, I'm like all over the place because it's such a huge topic. So data is like, so tribal data is the right of a nation to govern the connection and ownership of the application of its own data, and it drives from tribes' inherent right to govern their people's lands and resources. And so, like, our prime example is aspirin. Aspirin is indigenous intellectual property that has a patent on it from a pharmaceutical. So, it was indigenous knowledge, specifically from Lakota Nation. I'm sure other nations used it also. But the yellow willow is where we retrieved the aspirin. And a pharmaceutical put a patent on the aspirin from that yellow willow, and now that's what we see in drug markets today. That's intellectual property, and that's the copyright or the patent, otherwise known as a patent, that was put on this intellectual property that is, no longer acknowledged where this resource is coming from, but it's a stolen resource. And so data mining is when you collect information, and that's why I brought up the social media platforms, because those are a form of data mining. They're collecting all this information. They're collecting trends. They're collecting trends and seeing where the flow of society is, because we're willingly and freely giving it.
Right.
And so data mining is the same thing that was being done here. And because out of fear mongering, a majority of our fluent speakers did contribute willingly to LLC, and they willingly contributed because they wanted to see our language live. And at that time, I do agree, at that time, there was very little being done, and that what was being done, like you look at Albert Whitehat's work from Rosebud Sioux Tribe, even though there was an orthography curriculum and dictionary also with it, also a keyboard, the resources were not given to Rosebud Sioux Tribe for these resources to be accessible to the people, for a language to live. There's also like the Violet Catches. There's a total of 8 different orthographies out there in Lakota Nation, and all of them are vital, and all of them are important. And at different stages, we have either used all of, at different stages through revitalization, we have used them all.
Yeah, this is a totally. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, so there is resources within our community. So we did have people developing this. This is what makes it really dangerous is when you have an indigenous presenter and saying like, I'm creating this book or I'm creating this resource that I want to be accessible, it's more than likely they'll be discounted. But when you have a white male presenting the exact same avenues, the money then tend to gravitate toward white males and ignoring Indigenous voices that already have created this. And this is one of the things that that has happened through. So this is why it's such a hard, long topic, and I'm just trying to stay focused on what's really important. I feel like the one thing that I really want to stress is LLC's individual consent forms that they handed to all of our fluent speakers across Lakota country. It just didn't happen on Standing Rock. It happened on Cheyenne River Sioux Tribe. It happened on OST, Oglala Tribe. Very few, because Rosewood Sioux Tribe actually had a resolution prior to Standing Rock in 2012 banishing LLC from coming onto their lands. But they do have a couple of Rose Brothers that willingly sought out LLC and tried, that did give information and stories and the intellectual property.
Can you hold on? We got to take a quick hard break. Can you stay with us? All right, cool. Yep. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us. Stay with us.
Navigating COVID while protecting yourself can be difficult. Fortunately, there's a hotline you can call with any questions. The Department of Indian Work St. Paul partnered with the Minnesota Department of Health to open the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline. They provide information on vaccines, booster shots, and testing sites. Right now, booster shots are available to anyone over the age of 18 for those who are eligible. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline can also help with housing, food, medical, and educational support. If you or someone you know has questions about COVID-19, vaccinations, booster shots, or testing, please call 651-304-9986. Again, the number is 651-304-9986. The Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline is open for calls Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Call the Twin Cities American Indian COVID-19 hotline at 651-304-9986.
Are you nervous to go to your mailbox and see one more past due mortgage bill? You could qualify for financial assistance through Home Help MN if you have fallen behind on your mortgage payments due to the pandemic. This Minnesota housing program even has money available to help with other past due mortgage-related expenses. Learn more at homehelpmn.org or call 1-800-388-3226.
Hi, Minneapolis. This is Randy Rhodes. Listen to me. Weeknights, 10 to midnight, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Crooner Supper Club, with its new Maggie's Lounge and a host of other amenities, reopens its popular outdoor tent, the Belvedere, in May. With its refreshing lake breezes and stunning views, plus full dinner and cocktail service, the Belvedere is ideal for romantic dates and social gatherings. Named one of the world's top jazz venues by Downbeat magazine, Crooners features a variety of big-name local and national artists on 3 concert stages. Pick the experience that's right for you at croonersmn.com. Crooner Supper Club, a little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world. And you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you. And you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. With the warmer weather, you might be noticing your allergies picking up. And while outdoor allergies are annoying, indoor allergies can be just as bad. Did you know as many as 1 in 5 Americans suffer from allergies caused by particles frequently found inside most homes? One of the best things you can do to relieve indoor allergies is by having your air ducts cleaned, and Zero Res can help. Right now, you can take $75 off your air duct cleaning when you book your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Plus, you can also get 3 rooms of carpet zero resified from the Twin Cities' #1 carpet cleaner starting at just $149, plus a free room of fiber protector. A $60 savings. And Zero Res can clean more than just your home. Ask about getting your business professionally cleaned too. So breathe healthy, happy, and clean with Zero Res by booking your appointment at ZeroResMinnesota.com to get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned for just $149 and get $75 off your air duct cleaning. That's ZeroResMinnesota.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for clear skies tonight with a low around 52, Thursday sunny with a high near 76, and Friday sunny with a high around 77. The Great Wall Restaurant has provided a delicious taste of authentic Chinese cuisine since 1981. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking dishes, the Great Wall Restaurant offers one of the most extensive Chinese menus in the Twin Cities. Located just north of 50th and France on the Edina-Minneapolis border, order now at GreatWallEdina.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Fonda, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hey, thank you, Wendy. Hey, we're here with Wania Locke, and we're talking about, Wendy, tribal data sovereignty and what's happened to the Lakotas here with their language and all the data that's being taken and probably tried to be sold back to the tribe, which is ridiculous. Yes. And I just want to get Wania on here for a little bit longer and just finish this up because this is outrageous. And could you, before you get going here, could you give everyone your TikTok handle? Because I know I've been seeing...
I'm not as famous on TikTok as my brother cousin Ray. So I do recommend following Ray, taking a live on TikTok. I do have a large podium on Facebook. It is just Wania Locke. I do have TikTok, but I just like to watch other people's TikToks. I feel like if there wasn't a voice out there already discussing this, then I would do it. But since there is, I'd much rather empower them.
No, that's a good one. I watch a lot of TikTok too, and I think I have one video up, somebody singing the water song.
Right.
So
I ended.
Go ahead.
Before the commercial break, I ended on the individual consent forms. And so there's 2 sentences in the individual consent forms that make it exclusive to LLC. So any type of recordings, any type of photo, filmography, made it exclusive only to LLC, excluding the tribes from having any type of rights to that data. And that's a lot of data. So when I say data, I am talking about writings, recordings of stories, filming, and also like pictographs, also like what is done on winter counts. That's all data. That's all Indigenous tribal data. There's, of course, it falls under more than that, right? There's science, it's our technology. And we as Indigenous people have collectively have sustained the United States even up until now. So one thing that was really funny that is intellectual property rights that I would like to share is the fires that were going on in California. Well, in the 40s and 50s, the local tribes in California told the United States government and the Forestry Service that they needed to do controlled burns in order to maintain the fires from happening in California. And they just recounted everything that they said. They're just like, no, that's a terrible way. That's not forest maintenance at all. And now you fast forward to this year alone, California EPA is just like, oh yeah, we do need to start doing controlled burns to maintain the forest. That's intellectual property. And that's the data of information that was passed down. And so this type of data information is passed down orally. It was done through like intersocial interactions, like at powwows, ceremonies. It was passed down orally, like families' own stories, like their own experiences. It's passed down through stories that are shared among all tribes. And yeah, so these encounters But my point is Indigenous knowledge are conveyed formally and informally among kin groups and communities through social encounters, oral traditions, and cultural practices. And this is really vital for us to be sustainable into the future. And to have someone have a copyright licensing and authority over this knowledge is really endangering to us as a people.
Right. So it's not just the
So one
language;
thing that
it's everything else that was recorded in the audio, and that's
right.
being stolen. When you use the example of controlled burns and language and food and
Well, even
medicines,
don't forget the aspirin story. Like that's
right?
intellectual
Yes,
property.
yes, yes. Well, that's what can we do to help support you in this cause?
Well, one thing I would really stress is everybody knows about NACRA, and that's, they're protecting our artifacts and our graves. What we
Hmm.
need, which NARF is currently working on, that's Native American Rights Fund, which is comprised of all these different lawyers. They're trying to actually pass through Congress legislation that protects our intellectual property rights. So I suggest going to their page and being proactive, possibly having all of our allies donate to that so that we can get this legislation passed on a federal level so that way our rights and our data is protected from corporations and outside sources from stealing another form of resources that we naturally have and historically have.
Wow.
So they are currently working on it right now. So I do recommend that. The other thing is like for our Indigenous people, hit up your constitution, look at your own constitution, see where your intellectual property rights are. Does your tribe have intellectual property rights? And what extent are there? Because like even though we passed this resolution, so there's a lot of myths out there. I see really bad narratives. Like I got called a racist. I got called a rotten Indian. They're saying that we banished LLC completely. Like, no, we banished the corporation from extracting any more type of data from us. That's what we did. So the orthography, the curriculum, and the dictionary is still intact, and whoever wants to utilize it, they have an opportunity to. We didn't banish the orthography. We didn't banish the dictionary, and we didn't banish the curriculum. That actually came from directly all from our fluent speakers. So why would we banish something that directly came from us? So there is still an opportunity for people to utilize it if that's what they choose. Or if they choose to use another orthography or another curriculum, it's just open wide now for them to use it. We just wanted to make sure that Standing Rock had resolutions in place, because if it wasn't LLC, it was going to be another entity. So that's why we really needed the tribal data, intellectual property rights of our language and our culture, for anyone who comes to obtain this information from us, that it's shared with our tribal entity, that our tribal entity already has jurisdiction over it. And that's what I really encourage everyone else, whatever tribe you are, to encourage, because like Mexico, the whole entire country has intellectual property rights. France has intellectual property rights. And so I'm just using examples of nation-to-nation governance systems that have intellectual property rights, and we need to be at that level. We need to have intellectual property rights for all tribal nations, not just within Lakota, Dakota territories, but all tribes need to have them, whether you are Ho-Chunk, whether you are Choctaw, whether you are Seminole. All tribes need to have intellectual property rights that so their tribe is not being exploited in the future.
Wow.
One thing I really wanted to end on for like my part that I just really want to share with you all. This is a quote that we got from the UN, United Nations Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, Article 31, and it was created in 2007. Indigenous people have the rights to maintain, control, and protect and develop their cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional expression, as well as as the manifestations of their sciences, technology, and culture, including human and genetic resources, seeds, medicines, knowledge of properties.
Wow.
Of Sena, lore, oral traditions, lectures, design, sports, traditional games, and visual and performing art. They also have the right to maintain, control, and protect and develop their intellectual property over such cultural heritage, traditional knowledge, and traditional expression. And so that's a really powerful statement that the UN already created. So when you start looking up in intellectual property rights, you start looking up at data sovereignty and what is data mining, these things were already created, and these were all in discussions way back when. Our people were very, very advanced. Indigenous people were really advanced. We just didn't have the platform that we have now. They didn't, but these were already in discussions. So when you start doing your research, you'll see that other tribal members from different nations were like, we need to have intellectual property rights. You'll see documents from the 1950s all the way up. A really well-known throughout language revitalization is the Maori, right? So they have their entire country is in the Maori language, and they not only they did it through like immersingness, but they go all the way through a doctorate level of education within the language because they're 100% immersed. And they started that movement in the 50s, the language revitalization. It took them 20 years to do it to get where it is today. But they also had intellectual property rights and laws in place. So when you look at people that are further advanced in decolonization and all the benefits that provided for them, they already had these in place. And so like when we look to other nations, we also need to look at the legalities of how did they decolonize. And it's really sad because like Indigenous people, we don't have the concept of authority of our traditional knowledge, right? That's a straight European concept, like patents, copyrights, authority, licensing. Those are all European concepts. Like we never would do that. Like we openly shared all of this knowledge, like all of our plant medicine. Like it was for everyone because it benefits everyone and it progresses our people and it makes our people healthy and thriving.
Well,
Juanita, we live in a world.
I want to really thank you for being on, and I also want to get you on again because our Facebook's blowing up here. People are really really excited to hear this knowledge. And Ogama, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to let people who are listening know that Ray Taken Alive, who is Wania's cousin, who is the whistleblower for this, his handle on TikTok is at Reg, R-E-G as in go, charging. At Reg Charging on TikTok is how you follow to find out more information of this from Ray Taken Alive, or you can always check out Wania Locke, W-A-N-I-Y-A on Facebook.
Thank you so much for being on, and we're gonna have you back. This is so important information, and believe you me, I was taking notes about our intellectual property rights as Native Americans. So thank you so much for stopping in.
No, thank you for allowing me and opening up this space for us and being really receptive and understanding like this is important and we need to have this jurisdiction within our own people. So thank you for this time and this opportunity. Dope show, y'all.
Oh, all right. Wow. Wendy, unbelievable.
Fantastic. Stay with us.
We'll be right back after this short break with Bob Blake from Red Lake. Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac. the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Are you nervous to go to your mailbox and see one more past due mortgage bill? You could qualify for financial assistance through Home Help MN if you have fallen behind on your mortgage payments due to the pandemic. This Minnesota housing program even has money available to help with other past due mortgage-related expenses. Learn more at homehelpmn.org or call 1-800-388-3226.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Wow, that was really who did that? How
That was me.
that
I
was
usually
good.
don't get to do that loud howl when I'm in the condo in New York because there's too
Right.
many people around and there's very thin walls. So here we go.
Awesome. That was very good. Hey, before we get to Bob Blake with the Solar Bear with the Solar News, I want to bring this up because it's come to my attention too as a legislator of Ho Chunk Nation. But Ogama, can you bring this up real quick again? What we were talking about, all the tribes need to show up for this.
Yes, all the tribes need to show up for, Robert, are you talking about what we were just last talking about, or are we talking about the wolves?
The wolves.
Yes. Okay. So what's happening is the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife organization has basically organized meetings that they're asking Native people to come and talk about wolves. And at these meetings, it will help partially decide whether or not the gray wolf is able to be relisted as an endangered species. And these meetings kind of came on short notice, basically. So there is a meeting tomorrow that Howling for Wolves founder Maureen Hackett is asking us to promote. You can find out more information for how to come onto that Zoom meeting at bia.gov, and I will put the link in the chat here. So if you are a tribal rep, or if you know any tribal representatives who will come on and speak on behalf of the wolves, on behalf of our wolf relatives, to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, you need to have them come on and register for this event tomorrow, Friday, for this Zoom. Basically, what happened was they had another one 2 days ago. They had a meeting about this 2 days ago. There were 4 tribal people who came on to talk, and none of them spoke in support of the wolves. So if you have cultural affinity for wolves, join this meeting. So I'll put that
I'll be
meeting in the
there.
content. Yep, I'll put that in
Be
the
there.
comments for everybody.
I'll be there, and I want to do an extra howl, Wendy. Hey, we have Bob Blake, who we haven't talked to in a long time, Wendy, and he's with Solar Bear, and he gives us the solar news. So thank you so much, Robert, for being on. Long time no see, and I like that old Boston hat you got on there for Blake.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guy. I've been busy. I just been busy, and my days got really long.
And you moved.
And I moved. I'm still living out of my boxes currently right now. So um I'm trying to get everything situated. But yeah, good to be back. And Robert, I'm going to start off with this first story. Do you remember when I was talking to you? Oh wow, this was a while back now because I haven't been here for a while. But I was talking to you about there was a tariff happening with the Department of Commerce and a little company in California that said that China was circumventing our trade laws, and so they implemented an investigation. But what that did was it basically stopped the entire solar industry from doing installs. And so I don't know if you remember, but I asked you and the listeners to contact your legislators, contact your elected reps, and tell them that they need to get rid of this investigation. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And so what's happening now is um, President Biden has put that investigation on hold for a couple years now, and they're still following through on the process. But what they're allowing to do now is they're doing this investigation. But one of the cool things that he just did was he implemented this act that usually happens in like wars, right? The Defense Production Act for clean energy. And so what I think what's really interesting about this, and I say this a lot, and I think you've heard this from me, but I've been telling tribes, or I've been advocating for tribes to start looking into manufacturing clean energy products, and because you can create jobs, in your community. Here is a perfect example of the United States implementing this Defense Production Act to create clean energy right here in the United States with whether it be solar panels, whether it be inverters, it doesn't matter. Point being is that this is happening, and this is a great opportunity for tribes to get into the manufacturing business.
Right on. That's awesome. Bob, what else do you got? We only got 4 minutes here, and we're going to fly through your news today because we had that unbelievable guest. I don't know if you heard the guest, and Wendy, in one of her segments, quoted one of your posts this last week, right, Wen?
I did. I talked about it, 2 days ago. About he's a blogger, and he's Umar. I can't remember his last name. And he talked about the heat wave in India, Pakistan, Bengali, and how the animals and the people are they're just like falling out in the street, and these eagles are just falling from the skies because of the heat. And it's like us Westerners are sitting here in the, don't even know anything about it. I haven't heard anything about it on any type of social media or news anywhere.
Other than Bob Blake's
than Bob Blake. And it's just crazy because it's going to come here.
It's coming here next week. It's going to start here next week, and it will start. So everyone prepare. And also too, for high, there's also a forecast for higher electricity bills. Is what they're forecasting also. So there's a lot that's going to be happening here around heat, and I think everybody's going to wake up and realize that climate change is real, and it is now in your face, so to speak.
Well, Bob, I think a high percentage of people polled agree with climate change. It's the politicians that aren't doing anything.
Well, it's 70% of people believe in climate change, Democrats and Republicans. 40% believe it's going to affect them. It's 30% that are kind of on the fence. So it's that group of people that we really have to reach. And obviously, it's just, through here it is. The other part about this is I don't have a lot of faith in the politicians right now, because if we can't get nothing passed, on gun control, what are we going to get passed on climate change? You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully they're going to take care of it because tomorrow the fireworks are going to be taken off with this January 6th thing on live time, prime time. So I'll be watching that where these people are going to, if the Democrats are doing this, that means they've got something. So I'm excited to see that.
Oh, I'm excited too. So I'm really hoping that this, really changes people's minds and has them wake up to exactly what's happening out here.
Exactly. Robert, we got less than a minute. What are you working on now? What are you doing? What is Solar Bear doing and your other nonprofit?
Yeah, we've got solar projects happening, everyone, and we are building out the electric vehicle charging network. Been doing a lot of meetings, doing a lot of planning with the utilities. It's really exciting, and we hope to get some trainings for a couple of different tribes happening. And it's just lots of work happening. So super excited about it, and I will be doing updates as I come on Wednesday night. So listen to the Solar News from the Solar Bear.
Wow. Perfect. You're a professional. That was awesome. Good way to segue away. Thank you so much. What a great show, Wendy. I just would like to end with these thoughts. If you're listening to the show, you are part of the resistance from Chief Plentycoops. The ground on which we stand on is sacred ground. It is the blood of our ancestors. We need to resist, divest, join a group, and run for office. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier. Stop line 3.
Hi, this is Chad from AM 950.